You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
If you're anything like me, your feed these days feels less like a timeline and more like a fire hose of AI updates. I mean, new models, new pricing, new arguments every single hour.
Oh, it's impossible to keep up.
It is. It's overwhelming.
No.
And that is exactly why we're here. We've taken all that latest material you were tracking, and we've boiled it down to, well, to the structural truth of where things are actually shifting.
Right. We're moving past the hype. Today is all about the foundational changes, the cold, hard economic realities behind it all.
Yeah.
We need to look at how these big providers are balancing user experience with raw performance, the huge financial deals funding the whole thing, and this quiet but critical expansion of what we're calling agentic capabilities.
It's all about the trade-offs, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I spent a lot of time in this space, even on my own with the vocal technologist discussion, and some of the shifts buried in here genuinely surprised me. So let's jump in. What's driving product decisions more than anything else right now? It has to be this calculus of speed versus reasoning.
It's absolutely the dominant factor. And the huge sort of quiet news here is that OpenAI got rid of the automatic model router for most of its users.
But for the free and go tiers, right?
Yeah.
I found this detail just shocking because that router was brilliant.
It was.
The whole point was to spot a complex query and then, send it to the heavy-duty model to get the best possible answer.
Right.
Why would you abandon that?
Because people wouldn't wait. The everyday person they rejected the wait time.
So it wasn't about quality.
No, the router actually worked perfectly. It increased usage of those complex models from under 1% to 7% for free users, a 7-fold jump. But it hurt daily active users.
Because they had to wait 20 seconds.
20 seconds. People just weren't willing to wait 20 seconds for a better answer.
Wow. That's the entire lesson right there, isn't it? 20 seconds is enough time for me to switch tabs, check my phone, and completely forget what I was doing.
Exactly. For mass adoption, instant gratification beats maximum analytical depth every time.
So now the default is just GPT-5.2 Instant.
Right. And the implication for product roadmaps is enormous. The main competition for the mass market isn't about raw intelligence. It's about responsiveness, perceived speed.
Which is why the whole multimodal race is so focused on efficiency now.
It's all about efficiency.
Which brings us to image generation. OpenAI just launched GPT Image 1.5. And they're not just saying it's better. They're saying it's faster, more accurate, and critically, much better at following instructions.
And we know this isn't just happening in a vacuum.
No, not at all.
This is framed explicitly as a direct, aggressive response to the pressure they're feeling from Google's Gemini 3, from Nano Banana Pro. Image generation is a sticky feature. If you can provide the fastest, most controllable way to get from text to an image, you keep the user.
Right. And moving from the visual to the auditory, we saw Meta introduce SAM Audio.
Yeah.
This sounds like a massive leap for anyone in media.
Oh, it's a huge productivity jump. SAM Audio lets you isolate specific sounds from a really complex track, and not just with text prompts like isolate the sax.
You can use visual cues,
or even time-based prompts. Imagine taking a messy field recording and just telling the AI, remove the background chatter. No complex editing needed.
That's putting prompt-driven editing into the real world.
Yeah.
And speaking of Meta, they also updated their smart glasses.
Yeah, with some really practical, almost agentic features, like a conversation isolation mode for noisy places.
And the Spotify integration, right. It plays music based on what you're looking at.
Yeah, the tech is rapidly moving off the screen and into, enhancing your actual physical context.
Okay, let's unpack that word you used, agentic. Because this feels like where the real productivity gains are for professionals. This idea of agent skills is suddenly everywhere.
It is, and the standardization is key. What's so fascinating is that this idea of agent skills, which are basically just folders of instructions, scripts, resources, it started at Anthropic.
But now it's becoming an open standard.
Exactly. It's becoming an industry-wide thing.
So instead of a developer reinventing the wheel every time, they can just package up their domain expertise like, say, a workflow for processing legal documents, and then deploy that same package on different platforms.
That's it, exactly. We're seeing it pop up in Cursor, GitHub, VS Code. And quietly, skills support is showing up in core OpenAI tools like Codex and ChatGPT for handling spreadsheets and PDFs.
It's standardizing expertise, making it portable.
Yes.
But, the more powerful these agents get, the more control becomes an issue. People are pushing back against that black box feeling where you just hope it does the right thing.
Absolutely. The magic is wearing off a bit.
So how do we bring control back to the user? I'm thinking of Anthropic's new plan mode for Claude Code.
Plan mode is their answer to that. You give the agent a complex task like build this feature, and it immediately pauses and writes out a detailed plan in a markdown file.
And nothing happens until you approve it.
You have to approve or edit that plan before it executes a single line of code. It gives you steerable planning.
Which seems essential for high-stakes work.
Eh.
But the material also mentioned that it adds a layer of complexity. It takes away some of that instant magic, right?
It's a real trade-off. Trust versus speed. And it gets even more nuanced when you look at how agents handle interruptions.
Ah, yeah?
We saw two totally different philosophies. Claude Code uses what they call boundary-aware queuing, meaning if you interrupt it, it smoothly inserts your new message at a natural breakpoint, like after it finishes writing a function or running a query.
As opposed to OpenAI's Codex, which uses, what was it, post-turn queuing.
Right, which forces you to wait until the current action is completely finished.
Yeah.
It's much clunkier from a user perspective.
Yeah, that would be frustrating.
So the real insight here for you is that these tools shouldn't just pick one. They should offer both. Let the user decide on the level of control, especially if you're running multiple agents at once.
And to keep everything safe while this is happening, Riplet built its snapshot engine.
A critical piece of safety infrastructure. It's a compute and storage fabric that makes every change the agent makes totally isolated and, more importantly, reversible.
So even the cleverest agent can't break the whole system.
Exactly.
Okay, let's shift to the hidden infrastructure layer, because none of these agents work if the costs don't keep dropping. What's funding all this efficiency? We have to talk about prompt caching.
The magic of prompt caching. It's making input tokens something like 10 times cheaper.
And not just cheaper. The latency reduction is huge.
Right.
Up to 85% faster for long prompts.
This is the structural gain that's driving down the cost of using AI at scale.
But tell us why it works. Because it's not just reusing an old response. It's more clever than that. What's actually being cached?
What gets cached are the K and V matrices from the attention mechanism.
Okay, break that down for us.
Think of the K and V matrices as the model's indexed summary of the first half of your long document. By caching those, the model doesn't have to reread and reprocess that first part every single time.
So it just skips straight to the new information you gave it.
Exactly. It's a fundamental efficiency gain.
And that completely changes the economics of giant context windows. Suddenly, sending a 200,000 token document isn't insane because the follow-up questions are basically subsidized.
Absolutely. And this efficiency is driving a really clear split in the infrastructure market. You've got two very durable, financially attractive markets forming.
The first being reserved or hourly compute. Who's that for?
That's for customers who want predictability and control. Think big banks or governments with long-term, high-volume needs. They want to control their capital expenditure and have guaranteed access.
And the second market is the one most of us use. Inference APIs.
Right. The API route trades that control for massive scale. The provider OpenAI, Anthropic, they absorb the utilization risk, they abstract away all the complexity for you, all for cost efficiency and speed.
And understanding that split is key to figuring out where the value is going to end up.
It's absolutely critical.
Speaking of value, let's talk about the financial climate.
Right.
Because the numbers here are just staggering. OpenAI is reportedly seeking a fundraising round that could value the startup at $830 billion.
An incredible number. It's a major test of investor sentiment right now.
But what's even more illustrative of the infrastructure game are these huge sort of circular deals.
The ones analysts are scrutinizing, yeah. This is how the whole thing is being financed.
So give us the highlights. What's the deal with Oracle?
Okay, so Oracle has this massive backlog of obligations, over $500 billion. And tucked inside that is a jaw-dropping $300 billion 5-year OpenAI contract.
$300 billion.
But analysts are skeptical because OpenAI's annual revenue is nowhere near that. Can they realistically use and pay for that much reserved compute?
And then there's the Amazon deal, which is all about the hardware competition.
Precisely. OpenAI is also reportedly looking for a $10 billion investment from Amazon, which is tied to an agreement to use AWS's own Trainium chips.
So these huge interdependent deals using partner money to fuel partner infrastructure, that's what's underwriting the whole game.
It is. It just shows the unbelievable amount of capital you need to even play at the frontier.
Okay, so we have all this money, all this capacity being built. But what about the actual technical path forward? The material pointed out a huge fundamental bottleneck that's limiting performance right now.
This is where it gets really interesting for me. The current frontier models, your DeepSeek V3s, your Llama 4s, they are drastically underutilizing the hardware.
How bad is it?
We're talking maybe 20% FLOP utilization during training. And inference. Inference often runs at single-digit utilization.
That's just unacceptable. It's like having a supercar that only runs on one cylinder. What's the problem?
It's the memory pipeline. The models are bottlenecked on loading weights from memory, not on the actual computation. They spend more time waiting for data to show up than they do crunching numbers.
So, there are massive performance gains still on the table just from optimizing that.
Huge gains. We could see dramatic speed increases without needing revolutionary new chips.
Yeah.
Just by fixing the data loading.
That really reframes the whole AGI conversation, doesn't it? We're still struggling with basic data logistics.
Well, the mathematician Terence Tao had a great take on this. He suggests that true AGI is probably still out of reach, but something else is becoming a reality.
And that is?
Artificial general cleverness.
Cleverness. I like that.
It's the ability to solve broad classes of complex problems using somewhat ad hoc, often surprising methods. We're building incredibly powerful tools for clever thought generation, not necessarily a simulated human mind.
And those clever tools are creating a massive existential threat to a lot of existing business models.
Oh, yeah. Specifically to marketplaces and basic SaaS providers.
How so?
While agents threaten marketplace moats by just taking over discovery, transactions, the whole supply workflow, they collapse the traditional marketing funnel. Why would you search on Google or Amazon if your agent can just find, evaluate, and buy something for you?
They become automated middlemen. And for basic software as a service companies.
They're now competing with a skilled engineer using an agent on a Friday afternoon. The barrier to entry for creating a useful tool has it's evaporated.
So that's the move.
Companies have to focus on high-frequency markets, on fortifying their customer connections, and really innovating on how they make money. Subscriptions, data licensing. Because simple services are now just table stakes for an agent. The moat has to be much, much deeper.
This has been a really critical breakdown. If you want to feel well-informed very quickly, there are, I think, 3 shifts you need to walk away with.
Go for it.
First, the user market is choosing speed over power. Instant answers are winning, forcing providers to optimize for responsiveness. Second, agent skills are standardizing, creating a portable way to package up professional expertise.
And third,
the whole infrastructure game is funded by these gargantuan circular financial deals, but it's still fundamentally bottlenecked by the surprisingly simple task of just loading weights from memory.
And that last point is where we'll leave you, with something to think about. Given that the most powerful AI systems we have today are bottlenecked by something so basic, how might the industry redesign hardware or even model architecture in the next year to unlock all that computational power that's just sitting there unused in our data centers?
Something to ponder as you watch those agents get clever and cleverer. Thanks for joining us for this look at your material. We'll catch you next time.
Spoken Tech for your ears.